Hey everybody, welcome to the Creative Archive. My name is Kelly. Today I am continuing the kitchen cleanout, which is the focus for January. We're going to be going through the pantry today. Now, is this the most important thing that's happening in the world right now? Absolutely not. If you need something to watch that's not frightening, then I'm happy to provide. The Creative Archive, archiving as it relates to our personal spaces, like how I think about that is like a garden, takes regular tending to. Weeds pop up, leaves get in there, and so cleaning it out, mulching things, that is kind of how I think about the personal space as well. So it's not about getting rid of everything and becoming a minimalist. It's also not using your house like as a storage place for everything you've done, everything you own. Let's get started on the pantry. Okay, so here we go. It's a bit of a mess. Post holidays, things got really jammed and crammed, and this needs a little bit of work. It's not terrible, but things are kind of shoved in there. All right, how I'm going to tackle this is pull a lot of the things out because I am going to wipe the shelves down and do a little bit of a clean as I do this. So we're going to start with pulling things out. And I can already tell you I have a toaster oven up here that is going to be donated. It's been up there for since we moved in, since 2023. So that's an example of something that I don't use, I don't foresee using, and I think could be useful at women's shelters. I've heard can really benefit from things like that. So I'm going to make a pile for those types of things. Okay, I would like to make a comment about an item like this. This came from Home Goods, I believe. And it's a nice piece. It's a more decorative piece. And things like this, I am refraining from buying anymore. I don't have an attachment to this. It's nice. And some pieces like that are fine to have around. But I think I have an excess of vessels like this for flowers or just like shelf decor. And it's just not really something I'm going to keep. So it's just something to think about. Okay. So for example, this is a vessel that was in my mother's house. And we also used it in our wedding because we had a lot of brass vessels that we had our flowers in. And so we used this one. And so it just has a little more meaning to me. And I like the style and the look of it much more than like I like this. So when I was thinking about this, my reason for keeping it, there's not a lot of shelf space in this house. And so I thought we might move into a space where we have more shelving options and whatever. But who knows when that's going to happen? You know what I mean? So I'm not going to hang on to this for a future possibility of having shelf space. Okay, let's keep going. Here's another piece. This is one of my items that I tend to collect quite a bit. And this is another one that I haven't really used that I also got at Home Goods. And I think I'm going to let this one go as well. Okay, moving on. Wow, there's so many things. This was another wedding shower iced tea vessel. This is an organizing pot and pan piece, which I am going to donate because I have a pot and pan system that is working, and maybe I'm going to use it in a different house. We're not at that place right now. And so I'd rather donate it for someone else to use than hang on to it for future use. Okay. This, I cleaned it before I stored it, but I am going to wipe it down. Okay, so I'm going to speed through the other shelves, but pull everything out and wipe things down. And I will stop the video if there's something important I need to point out. Okay, we've got everything cleaned out, and now I'm going to use this handy dandy dust buster. I love this thing. Now, I installed this shelf paper when we moved in. So these were bare, and I usually like to line shelves with removable, shelf paper as opposed to those sticky pads, because I find those to be really annoying. This is easier to like wipe down, and a lot of the stuff that was kind of grimy on these did come up. You can probably see there's like a few things that, the paper's just kind of scratched and whatnot. And I'm not the type of person to like redo the paper. So if it's a little damaged, it's fine. And it's not even that bad. For a space like this, I like to maximize as much as I can this space. So risers are very handy. I don't think risers work in every situation. So sometimes organizing tools can actually be more of a hindrance than a help. So the only way you really find out if it works for you is if like you use it, you try it, and if it's a pain in your ass, then it's probably not the best thing. But I have found risers are helpful for locating things easily. And I'll show you kind of how I use all this stuff in a minute. I don't need all of my jars to look exactly the same. That's not me. I'm not that girl. Okay. Don't need it. So these are flax seeds. We've got sunflower seeds, and I like to put them, I'll show you kind of what it looks like, but I like the riser for the different seed jars, as opposed to just having them kind of clumped together. It is a little easier to have them on a riser to see what's going on. All right, let's talk about this Lazy Susan, which I love. And I love this one with the compartments in it because it holds sauces better. Sauces, condiments, and it's easy to access stuff. So vinegars, I put in here. Let's see. We have 2 bottles of coconut aminos. So, this is another thing that just it annoys me when I buy extra things that I have already. So it's the reason why it's good just to like go through the inventory. There's another cabinet that I keep on a different type of Lazy Susan, different sauces or oils that I use more frequently when I'm cooking. So I have that stuff closer to the oven. But this kind of stuff is more, I like to think of like just occasional use. Boop, easy. Kind of have to figure out like which combinations fit the best with the type of jars. But yeah, it's so easy and saves space. So all right, another thing that really works for me, and just in terms of saving space, are containers like this that I can store under here and act as like a drawer, So, and I don't need to have like everything be the same in the drawer, but these are things, that we do reach for somewhat often. And so it's a mix of stuff. So a little instant oatmeal, these actually, I'm not going to keep in there. The Jell-O, Cassandra's been on a sugar-free Jell-O kick, so I'm putting those there. And boom, saves a lot of space. And I'll show you kind of how I maximize everything around it. All right, let's discuss. This is oatmeal. I did go through an oatmeal kick, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago. And like during my CrossFit days, I was eating a little more oatmeal slow cooked style. And this is a lot of freaking oatmeal. Okay. This is like, it's a lot. So I either need to make some oatmeal cookies, which I don't like. But I also learned that I am more of an instant oatmeal person. I'm going to repurpose this jar and put our flour in it because I think that is more appropriate for this jar at this time. Like, this is just taking up space and I'm not doing anything with the oatmeal. So I'm going to put it in a bag and I'm going to offer it to my mother-in-law, who does a lot more with oatmeal than I do. All right, I like to store our onions, spuds, sweet potatoes, things like that in a basket. Plus, they prefer being stored kind of in a dark space. So that's kind of what I do for things like that, rather than just keeping it on a shelf loose in the bags, you know, and then it just creates a little more of a mess. So I like to have it in a container that can like catch some of that stuff. Let's talk about what's worth storing in containers and what isn't. There's nothing wrong with keeping your bag of noodles in the bag on a shelf. Why we have to store them in pretty containers, that is only a question that you can answer. This will hold, let's see. Okay. So I think this will hold the rest of these. Whoa. I mean, this works for now, but I don't think this is going to be always the noodle container. But we're going to roll with it right now, and it's going to be what it is. So putting that up there. But things like this, I'm not going to put in a jar. It's in a perfect container. And so, yeah, I don't do that. All right, I'm not done, but I'm nearly done putting the things back in that I want to have in the pantry. So there are a few big game changers that I'm going to show you. So let me turn it around. Okay, number one, I brought in this other Lazy Susan that was on our counter in the kitchen, and it wasn't really, I just had random things on it, and I think it serves a better purpose in here because all of these jars and like pickled things, sauces, stuff like that, it's easy to like find and get to. Now, this type of Lazy Susan would not be ideal for this because of how high it is on the shelf, and I wouldn't be able to see or get it out of the container as easily. So you really have to think about like how accessible things are at different levels, you know. So this is big because before things were just kind of in here randomly, and I was buying things that I already had because I couldn't see them. So you got to be able to see the stuff you have. Like even on the top shelf, like I'm not putting a ton of stuff in front of these items so I can see what I have. I debated whether I should get a riser for up there, but I don't think I do. If I, I think this is working. And then I have things organized here pretty well so I can see what we have. And like all of this is just way better. The other thing I brought in was this basket was not being utilized at all. This is working. You can easily pull it in and out. All right, down here I have like our water bottles, Stanley cups, and our French press. So some of these things they're too tall for our regular cabinets. We have more water bottles than I would really like, but we do use these ones that we have. So kind of contain it to this, even though it's tempting to get more Stanleys. We just don't need them. I've got our pee pads and plastic bags in there. And this is kind of a restock of the dog food. And then paper bags. I do have some of our like to-go container for food and things like that in here. And then some of the other paper bags there. So I think that works really well. And like the vinegar and all that jazz down there. So much better. And that top shelf is being utilized with things we actually use. And then I do have a mess, but I will kind of tidy this up. Some of these things are going to be donated. Some of these things are going to be repurposed elsewhere. So these items I'm going to actually put over here. All right, things are more cleaned up. I still have some things I need to put away or put somewhere else in the house. And but for the most part, we've come to a great stopping point. All right, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video.